Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy do podcasting.
In this episode, farewell to Steve Wright, new fences, incorrect postage, and soup or sauce.
Now, Lippy.
Hello.
We'll try again.
We will try again.
We've just tried a cheaper hosting service and it was rubbish.
Cheaper.
Let's put it that way. It was cheaper. That's all there is to be said for it. So fortunately, this subscription hadn't cancelled completely. So we're back to using Riverside, so where we know where the things are. So that's good. Anyway, I wanted to start it with saying how shocked I was at the passing of Steve Wright a week or so back. Who I don't think you're really aware of, but he was part of the radio scene for me for decades. And really was a total professional when it came to broadcasting and radio. And interestingly, there was The Guardian posted a few of his top tips for broadcasting, which are all very good. One of them was avoid pluralism, always talk direct to the one listener. As we only have one listener...
We can do that fine.
We could do that easily. But there was a few good things on there. Having pegs in your programme, things you always do and always do them, which I thought was quite a good thing to see. And keeping the energy up, which we're recording this on a Saturday morning. I've had my coffee. I think you've had yours.
I've not. I've had an orange juice, though.
Oh, well, that's as good. Plenty.
And I think it's slightly out of date, so it's got an extra buzz to it.
Oh, an extra fizz to it. As long as it's not Sunny Delight, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Off the walls. Anyway, sorry to see Steve go. He really was quite a gentleman. A friend of mine met him once at Broadcasting House. He'd been in for an interview with Jeremy Vine and got lost on the way out, couldn't find his way out. Oh, so he barged into this office and there's Steve Wright and the traffic lady in there. And he said, I'm really sorry. He said, I've been wandering around for half an hour. I can't find my way out. And Steve got up and escorted him off the premises. Yeah, true gent and a big loss for broadcasting. And talking of podcasts, I got into the habit a while back of listening to them at night and falling asleep with earbuds in, which is quite nice.
Yeah, soothing.
Well, not always, because sometimes what happens is at the end of it, there's some very loud music and you just end up sat bolt upright in bed, wider awake than when you started, which is not the purpose of it. There's a Twitter or X or whatever it's called this week feed called a non-opin, which is people's quite radical opinions on things. This one is, gentle podcasts should not advertise ungentle ones. Bed listeners being lulled to sleep are suddenly brought wide awake by an obnoxious jingle, loud voices trying to outdo each other, and self-congratulating laughter. Absolutely bang on.
Yeah.
Which is why we have nice soft music on the way in and the way out.
Yes.
And talking of podcasts, Richard Osman, who's one of my favourite game show presenters, as we've discussed in the past, has started a podcast with Marina, Hyde, who is a journalist. I'd not heard of her, called The Rest is Entertainment. And it's talking about behind the scenes at various entertainment things. So Richard was the creative director for Endemol, who have produced a massive amount of television programmes over the decades, really. And he really knows his stuff. And they were talking about the signing of Nigel Farage for I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And his insight into that business is astonishing. Yeah. So it is well worth a listen if you've if you're looking for
that was a rogue
podcast.
Choice, actually. I actually might be. I'm interested to listen to that because it is a weird choice to pick Nigel Farage to go into the jungle.
Well, Richard Osman was saying he would have been the last person chosen, and he said they would have got. They probably thought they would have got better value from him, but he's
because I think people actually liked him in the end. Not liked him, but they didn't hate him as much as when he went in.
Well, it was interesting because Marina Hyde apparently had interviewed him for something else. And he has nothing apart from arguing about the EU or arguing about something. He has no interest or knowledge outside of that. She asked him what his favourite film was, and he hadn't got a clue. which is a bit of a
I don't
worry.
watch movies.
And he's a slightly odd gentleman because obviously he's been very much in the news over the last 10 years or so. But he's never made it as an MP in the UK. And you think, well, actually, what has he got to offer? And I suspect ITV thought there would be a bit of a ruckus, but as Richard Osman said, most people don't really care that much about politics.
To argue with him. There was one small argument, I think, about culture and immigration. Yeah. But even that kind of didn't even come to anything.
No.
Not entertaining enough for...
I suspect after day one, ITV went, probably could have spent our money a bit better here. Mm-hmm. Now, you had, going back to Christmas, you had a Christmas card, didn't you? With the incorrect postage.
I was fuming when I got this little slip through the door to say I owed... I think it was like £1.20 or something. So it was the price of a stamp.
Yeah.
And I sat there debating for a while if I was actually going to pay it or not, because I was like, it's obviously a card because it's near Christmas. And I couldn't think what else I would have ordered that would have cost £1.20 and not been paid for. And I rang you fuming, didn't I? Told you everything. But I was blaming people left, right and centre.
Well, I think you blamed me at one point.
I was calling to see if it was you guys. It was Mum specifically, less than you. But I was blaming aunties and uncles and thinking, God, that's so annoying. They must have done that to everyone, whinging away. Eventually paid the fee. Got the card through the door 2 days later. It's from Duck Boy.
Yes.
Duck Boy thought it would be really nice to post me my Christmas card and not put the right stamp on it. And the best bit was I've been whinging about this for days and he's just sat there sniggering to himself, knowing that it was him that had done it. And he just didn't own up to it until I
have to say, it's well played on two fronts. One is that he didn't let on. I'm very impressed with that. Secondly, you'll never forget receiving that Christmas card.
No, true. True, that is very true.
So a little bit of drama around it was quite clever, really.
Yeah,
I am slightly disappointed you didn't return the favour with Duck Boy's birthday last week.
I didn't know. It didn't pop into my head, to be honest. I think I should have. The effort of having to go to a post box was a bit much for me. I don't go out so much now, so going to a post box.
We did, I think, perhaps overdo the duck theme for birthday presents this year.
I actually didn't buy him anything duck related in the end.
That's right.
I was going to buy him a duck whistle, which I then decided not to. So he didn't get duck. I don't think he did. No, I think it was just you in the end. So I think we did okay. Oh, the card as well, which he loved.
Yeah. Mum, wife of Grumpy said I'd overdone it a bit, but...
that was just the picture.
I thought it was quite nice.
He really liked it.
Yeah.
He also very much enjoyed that it was your favourite sketch artist.
Yes, that's Moose Allen, who appears in Private Eye from time to time. And I've got one of his on the wall in the office. He very kindly allowed me to use one of his drawings for free as a page not found page on a website, which is very nice. So I returned the favour by buying the print, which I quite like. Now, good news.
Good news.
We've had our fence replaced.
You have had your fence replaced, and it looks so good.
It does look really good. So it's been wobbling for about 10 years, I would have said.
It was so green.
It was quite green. Well, it doesn't get the sun, so this one will go green as well. Eventually. But the wooden posts had rotten off at the bottom and I put some concrete spears in and there was a bit of odd metal angle iron holding some up and rope on the others. And it was causing me concern. Every time we had a storm, I expect to get up in the morning and see panels down.
Yeah.
And the gap between the posts and the first bit of fencing was gradually getting bigger and you could see the arris rail pulling out. So it's not a cheap thing to do. I have to say, though, Cranley Garden Services, what a team. So four of them turn up. They say, we're going to do it in 2 days. And I'm thinking, wow.
It's a long bit of fence for people that obviously haven't seen the house.
There's a 32-metre length of fence, which goes the whole length of the property. And unfortunately, we've got lumbered with all three sides.
Because, What's that happened?
Oh, I don't know. But there's a shorter bit with next door, and then the side that was replaced actually backs onto the driveway of the house that was originally here. So our house is built on what was an apple orchard, along with orchard gardens.
So you got
around
all
the back. So we ended up with all the fence, which is a bit of a pain. And anyway, so they turn up, and we've already ripped a bit out to cover the shed, which was also in a very poor state because you can only get to it with the fence down. So it's a fairly detailed operation. So we ended up finishing that on Sunday night in the dark, which was a worthwhile exercise, if a bit frustrating. Anyway, so they turn up, and I take Floyd for a walk and come back, and there's all 4 of them around one post. I said, "Oh, how's it going?" He said, "We've just found the hardest bit of concrete in the entire Surrey." And it took them about 2 hours to get this lump of concrete out. I mean, they got there in the end. But what a remarkable job. Lots of people, and obviously very good at what they do. So if you're in the Cranley area and your fence needs replacing, and we've gone for concrete posts, so we're not going to go through this again.
Yes, we've got concrete posts with them wooden panels, so you can just slide the panels out when you want to replace it.
Yeah, much, much better. So,
yes.
So anyway, I'm hoping both that and the side of the shed will see us out.
Yeah.
But I do have to do the roof.
Done with fencing.
Done with fencing. We do have to do the roof of the shed, so I'll be asking for some duck boy help.
Yes, I have let him know. Yeah. He said he is more than happy to be I was going to say a rude word then. Yes. He's more than happy to do as he's told for the day and help where needed. Yeah, but in the sense of completing the job, he doesn't know what to do.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's help with lifting and ladders and stuff like that.
That he can do. He can do.
Jolly good. Talking of apprentices, we've picked our winners.
Yes.
Now, we're 2 episodes behind. We've only seen 2 episodes so far.
Oh, I'm one. Yes, I'm one behind.
I found I can't watch it at night. It's too much. After a long day at work, it's too much. So on the days where we're both having lunch together, wife and Grumpy and I tend to watch one there.
Pop it on,
we've had quite a busy week, so we've not done it. So my prediction is Phil the Pie. And the reasons, and I made this in the first episode, is that were they making brownies? They were making something in the kitchen, and there was a disaster. They hadn't put flour in or something. And he just said, right, throw it away, start again. He was very good in a crisis.
Yeah, no fuss. No fuss.
And in the second episode as well, I thought, there was a bit of a mistake with the pricing. But then if you're used to pricing pies, then pricing Ponzi cheesecake, I mean...
Yeah, you're... 100%. You're in central London. Like the girls' team, was it like £15? They went in for one cheesecake.
Yeah, I mean, that girl negotiating was astonishing, to be honest.
Yeah, actually incredible, to be fair. Like, I was sat there like, I should have picked her as my winner. Well, although I don't think she'll win because she's too individual. Like, she didn't, the teamwork aspect wasn't really coming into it for her.
So who have you picked?
I picked the pre- and postnatal fitness lady, and I've completely forgotten her name.
Sam, I think her name is.
Sam, yes. Yeah. Because the funny thing is you and Duck Boy picked the same, and myself and Wife of Grumpy picked the same.
Indeed.
Which was odd, I thought.
Well, let's hope it goes down to the final with those 2.
Yeah. But yes, I thought she was very... The thing that tipped it for me is on the first, because we picked in the first episode, watching the first episode, and she was the only one that volunteered to swap teams to do the river walk thing and then jump into the water, and she wasn't a fan of water.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And the project manager wasn't a fan of water, but she point blank refused, which is why she had to swap. So she just got on with it, and I think that's a very good trait, just in the situation, just put herself forward and did it, like didn't fuss about it, didn't make a big scene. Yes. Just cracked, did what needed to be done.
Yes, I think a couple of episodes of Lippy and Grumpy ago, we talked about qualities of leaders, and one of them was to get stuck in when needed. So, very good. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out. I mean, there's some utter disasters in there.
Oh, yes.
I'm not going to name names, but you look at some of them, you just go... No, I mean, I know why you're on this programme, and it's not to win.
No,
it's
there's a few.
Fodder.
There's it's hard because there's so many of them at the moment. I can't remember their names.
No.
But there's the guy that's really suave. I think you'll know who I mean. He wears
is this
like a
the
really
DJ?
cool suit. I like him. He's a dark horse, I think.
I warmed to him in the second episode. The first one, he was a bit
bull in a china shop.
Yes, that's exactly the phrase.
Yeah.
But actually, the second one, and his selling ability is brilliant.
It was great.
He's a good smoozer, and that's a
and his dress sense is just
he just oozes cool, doesn't he?
He really does.
A bit like myself.
Yeah. Sure, you think that.
Yeah, well, somebody has to. Now, as you may remember, I passed a certain age last year. And,
did you?
I did indeed. And one of the benefits of that certain age is that you can have a senior rail card, which gives you a third off rail tickets. Now, we don't use the trains very much, but we have talked about a trip up to Edinburgh on a train, which if you time it right and book in advance can be incredibly
quite cheap.
And a friend of mine regularly goes to Norfolk and down to Swanage on the train and pays so little because he's got same card and books in advance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had a DCI meeting up in London at the beginning of December. And I thought, right, I could use my card. Perfect. Give it a try. So I bought cards that I think it was 3 years for the price of 2. So it was a bit of a discount through a company called TrainPal. And you do all the booking through their app. So obviously they get a commission on the ticket, which is why they're able to give you a discount. So, but that's fine. You don't pay any more and it's all convenient, what have you. Anyway, so I booked my ticket and it's £8 cheaper. And I think, oh, this is just fantastic. So anyway, so I go to the station to pick up the ticket, put the code in the machine and out pops one ticket. And I thought, well, that's a bit odd. It doesn't say travel card on there, it just says out. So I looked on the app and I've only bought a single. I got so excited about the discount that I forgot to check that it was returned. So anyway, so I then spent the 40-minute train journey going up to London trying to book a return ticket.
Oh, and anything to do with trying to be on your phone on the train is just nightmare, patchy signal.
But it's ridiculous. You've got part of the world saying AI is going to take over the world, and yet you can't book a train ticket in 40 minutes from Guildford to London. I mean, it's crazy. So I was £10 down by the end of the evening, which was a bit of a disappointment, really. But we had a return event in January, so I made sure I booked the correct return ticket. All's good, saved quite a bit of money, very happy with that. Only £2 lost so far. So anyway,
like gambling and like working out your total loss.
It is a bit. Anyway, on the way back, the ticket inspector comes through. She says, "Tickets, please." So I show her my ticket. She says, "Oh, can I see your rail card?" I'm going, "Ooh, that's a good point. You don't get a physical rail card. It's held electronically on there." So I looked in the app and I couldn't find it. And she stood there waiting. And I said, "Well, sorry, I'm looking for it." And I think, where the hell is it? And then I remembered I'd taken a screenshot of it.
Oh, well done.
Just for this case. Trying to find a screenshot. And I'm scrolling through them. And I did eventually find it. I think just as she was about to get the fine book out, fine me for not having the card. So it was slightly annoying, but having thought about it, I thought, oh, actually, she obviously thought I wasn't old enough to have a senior rail card. So that was quite nice. But I've now worked out where to get it from in the app. And also I've put them in a special folder. The screenshots of the, and I'll have to do the same for Wife of Grumpy because she's not quite so organised.
Yeah. She wouldn't have even had a rail card. She would have just sat there and been like, "Oh no, it's fine, isn't it? I'm 60 something, it doesn't matter."
Yes. Well, would it be worse if she'd asked for my rail card or not? Like Grumpy's. A friend of mine who's a little bit younger than me was on a bus in the New Forest last year, and they got the tickets. They sat down and he said, "Gosh, that was really cheap," to his wife. And he looked at the tickets and they give them senior tickets. Not old enough. So he was quite upset about that. Now, we've talked in the past about Orange Marshal 2.
Yes.
So he's not marshalling anymore.
Oh.
So we obviously need a new name. And I bumped into him in the pub not so long ago. He said, well, we really need to sort out a new name. I said, well, what have you got in mind? Because they tend to morph a bit and be twisted by the people that have them. So he said, oh, I don't know, really. He said, well, maybe it'll be a work thing. So Orange Marshal 2 is a PA for Highways, England.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're called at the moment. And very busy. He's very good at his job. He organises lots of things I think he's got 2 bosses, which obviously causes a bit of friction when you're working for 2 people. It's a bit of a nightmare. So we've decided to call him Spinna de Plates.
Spinna de Plates.
So Spinna de Plates, welcome back to the podcast in your new role.
I like that.
Now, one of my favourite characters that we spoke about in the last episode, although it was slightly derogatory because he poo-pooed the way I cut my sandwiches, Mr. Alan Partridge. He's back. He's back on the BBC. Yeah, a new show, a 6-part documentary series called And Did Those Feet? And it follows Alan as he reintegrates into Britain after a year working in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, God.
I can't imagine what the Saudis would actually make of Alan Partridge. That would be... No. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I know Duck Boy's a big Partridge fan.
He is.
I immediately sent
that means
I
might actually get him back for a couple nights a week.
Well, maybe. Well, where's he been?
Golf.
Oh, no, he's got the disease.
He's got the disease. He has the disease. That's where he is currently. He's out playing golf.
Oh.
He went 3 times, I think, in the week to the driving range.
Okay. Yeah. That's not
because he had a bit of a cold, so he didn't do his spinning classes this week because he wanted to fully recover. Yeah. So he went to the driving range instead. Okay.
Well, our golf course has been shut quite a bit this week because of the rain. So it's not been quite as much golf as intended. But looking at the schedule for the summer, it's just ram-packed. So.
Golf.
Yes, I'll be wandering around the southeast of England with Floyd, looking for places to go. So I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the difference between soup and a sauce? How do you differentiate the two?
Well, in my mind, soup's wetter.
Wetter? Care to qualify that at all?
It's more liquid, like got more water in it. Sauce is more... A sauce will hold its shape. No, it won't. Sauce is thicker than soup.
Really?
Yeah. It depends what kind of soup, though.
We were watching, I think it was Rick Stein making and I always mispronounce this, the boublés. So the boublés, a fish soup, as it were. Whoa. Although it's a stew, it's a fish stew. Oh, it is very nice, but it is very runny. I'm not a fan of runny food.
No, you're not a fan of soup. But you like sauce, don't you?
Well, this is it. Actually, no, I had soup. Where was I? Somewhere or other I was at, I can't remember where it was. But I had some soup, which was actually quite nice. But the problem is, when I was a child, we had packet soup. So soup, dehydrated soup powder.
Yes.
From Safeway. Safeway was around. And the one that particularly irritated me was spring vegetable. Because basically it was bits of, if you imagine taking a pea and microwaving it so it becomes as hard
shriveled.
As a rock. Yep. So some of that, and then some bits of onion, and then about a gallon of water that's slightly off colour. That's what spring vegetable soup was. It was horrible. And that is definitely where I got my dislike of soup from.
But you like a pot noodle, and that's dehydrated soup.
Yeah, but it's not so runny. And that's the thing. And
I guess you can make it as runny as you want.
Yes, within reason. But the 2 other things about soup is it's dribbly and people slurp it.
So I was going to say you can slurp it.
It's the slurping and the dribbling. And I think that's, yeah. And I think any meal that you can have in a cup is not right.
You can have most meals in a cup.
Yeah, but it's still it's going to be hard eating chips out of a cup, for example.
No, they serve chips in a cup.
Oh yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah. But you don't eat them out. You take them out of the.
Yeah. You use your hands to actually eat them. Yeah.
Yes, you know what I mean. But I'd like a sauce with stuff, but I do prefer a thicker sauce.
Yes,
but
like a mayo.
The question from Rick Stein is, what is the difference between a sauce and a soup.
A soup.
I think it's a very fine line. It's a bit like a lake and a pond and a puddle and
Yes.
that sort of thing. So if you've got answers for our
Let's know.
predicament, please do let us know. Now, our water bill's gone up 20%. Thank you, Thames Water.
Oh,
20%.
why?
Why? Because we're not on a meter, because they tried to fit one a while back and couldn't do it, and then reduced our bill. So I thought I'd try again, because their website said we can now fit them under kitchen sinks and all over the place. And they came back instantly to tell me, well, not instantly, but within hours, to tell us that we can't fit a meter. The email was astonishing. So let me read the headline to you. We weren't able to fit your meter.
Great English.
Great English. So they then go on to talk about the assessed household charges, which is what they do if they can't fit a meter. So, they've changed it. So I've had two goes at this. So the first go, they say, the information on your account tells us that you have one bedroom and one occupier. So we've put you on our one bedroom rate. And I thought, oh, well, that's all right. That's fine. But it didn't actually change. Didn't change at all. So they sent out a very incorrect email to me. So this went forwards and backwards a couple of times, but it looks like we're stuck with the 20% rise, despite the fact there's only two of us in the house, because they base it on a number of bedrooms.
But they're not being used.
No. So what we're doing is when you come and stay, there's a small charge for water.
I just won't use any.
No, charge is there whether you use it or not. I mean, it's the same as Thames Water. If we don't... But the problem is by not having a meter, I'm thinking, well, actually, I spent 20% more on water this year. I'm going to use as much as I like.
Yeah, actually, because if you don't have a meter, does that mean you don't get money back at the end of the year if you haven't used as much as they've worked out you're going to use?
No, don't get. The only time we get money back is if the supply is interrupted for a period of time, which it was a couple of years ago, and I think it was 30 pence or something.
Oh, lovely.
Ridiculous. So, I mean, I don't mind paying more for water, but I do mind paying more to a company that has paid out dividends and just has, their approach to development in the area is just turn the water pressure up and, oh no, pipes are bursting.
Yeah, I don't know why this is.
We have so many roadworks where they're trying to fix burst pipes now. But the problem is they turn the water off, fix the burst, turn it back on again, it bursts 10 yards down
further
the road
down,
again.
yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, unfortunately, it's all over the place where it's insufficient investment in infrastructure, and this is the result. Unfortunately, we end up paying for it. But I'm not going into a political rant.
I thought you were going to then. I took the opportunity to blow my nose.
I could see that, but no, I'm not doing that. Now, going back to Steve Wright and him saying about have pegs in your program, you promised us in the last episode you would have a new thing.
Yes.
But that's for the next episode.
It is for the next episode.
So you've got for
just
this
building
episode,
suspense.
Yes, quite. You've got an ick, which we have done in the past.
Yes.
So
yes,
Lippy,
I do have an
what
ick.
is your ick?
You're not going to enjoy this section, but myself and Duck Boy love a good reality show.
Oh dear.
And on Netflix, there's one called Love is Blind, which is it's hilarious. It's basically people don't meet and they talk in a pod to each other. And then at the end of 2 weeks, I think it is, they can decide to propose to someone if they would like to. And then they have 4 weeks out of the pods and then they get married. And they decide at the end if they're going to get married or not. They stand at the altar and they basically do a thing that's is love blind? And if they both agree, then they get married. And actually a lot of couples have come out of it with and now they've got kids and stuff. It seems to work, but they also have a lot of drama along the way,
bet.
Especially the couples that don't work. And this is where I came up with my new ick, is there is a girl on this season that as soon as she gets slightly inconvenienced or upset, she goes into the most high-pitched whinge you can imagine. And oh my God, that just put me off straight away. I couldn't. So my ick
a high-pitched whinge
is when you're trying to have an not even a discussion and you're sat there going, oh, but you did this and it made me really sad.
Yeah, that is quite
I
annoying.
can't deal with that. Just talk like an adult.
Yes, I completely understand that.
Thank you. Yep, good at.
Talking of reality programs, I'm on an email list for House of Games, Richard Osman's program, which is my favourite game show. And they're looking for people to contribute to one of the rounds where they ask people at home about a film or a TV series, and they have that word cloud. So anyway, so I'm delighted to do that. So a couple of days later, get a couple of forms. And there was a film and a TV series. So the film is Where Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Which is great. Seen that a few times. Good film. Second one, TV series, Married at First Sight. I have
Which country?
Oh, I have no idea. I had no idea at all. So that was a bit of a shock because I had to sit there and think, well, I've never seen this. So there isn't an option for it. I've never seen it. Yeah. So I put why.
Why?
Why divorce? And I can't remember what the third word was.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Married at first sight.
I'm not sure if I get away with train crash by hyphenating it, but yes.
That one's more dramatic than Love Is Blind. Because they get married at the start and then they see what happens.
I have never seen it. And I never want to see it. So I have a fun fact, which I heard this week.
Yeah.
The entire world's supply of gold, which some argue is the entire amount of gold mined since before the Egyptians began mining gold, before 2000 BC. So that's 4,000 years worth of mining, fits in a mere 3.5 Olympic swimming pools.
Wow. That's not much.
It's not, is it? And that's why gold is so expensive, because there's not much of it.
Crazy.
And there's not much more to come out, apparently. So
I guess.
Maybe another 20%. Yes, very limited. So
crazy.
Yeah, I was shocked at that. It was.
Keep hold of your gold.
Well, indeed.
Not that I have any.
No, there is. There's gold in your phone. There's gold in your computer. Because it doesn't tarnish, it makes very good connectors for things in electronics. So there's a tiny, tiny amount. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.